Jordyn Marlys is an independent female artist originally born in Alexandria in Minnesota. And Jordyn is with us here. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
Now, can you tell us a bit about how you got started in music? Because your background is actually in gymnastics and water skiing originally, isn't it?
Yeah. I grew up as a competitive athlete. I did gymnastics, I did water skiing. I was very into science and math in school. So I had done gymnastics until I was about 16, and I was planning to do it in college, and I fractured my back during nationals, and that led me to have to quit because I just afterwards I just had a lot of issues and pain. And that's kind of when I stopped water skiing too, because I was doing competitive water skiing. Me and my partner, we would compete doing doubles, strap doubles, which was a popular thing in Wisconsin. So yeah, I was doing all that and I kind of had to stop. And at that moment, I had a very hard time adjusting to life without that. Because I
Yeah.
was so used to, we had 4.5 hour practices 4 days a week. So I was very, we were training a lot, and losing that was hard. So I ended up eventually developing a pretty bad eating disorder. And I had to go to an inpatient treatment facility my senior year of high school, which was like 2019. And I started doing music therapy, and it saved me. It really brought me into recovery. I found a lot of joy and healing in writing music, and producing and recording. So that's when I really started to get into it. And when I went back to high school for the last few months, I rethought about my college plans because, like I said, I was kind of nerdy in high school, so I liked science and I liked math. So I was planning to do biomedical engineering at UW-Madison in Wisconsin. And then I had switched and I decided I was going to study music. So I ended up going to Columbia College in Chicago to study music. And that's really when I started to, fully decide I wanted to have a career in music.
As you mentioned, music is a great form of therapy. So, to what extent do you think music helped you recover from the eating disorder?
It helped me a lot. Like I remember getting getting back from the inpatient care, kind of like readjusting to life again. It was really hard still, and I was having relapses. And I just remember when I would be going through things and things would feel hard, I would just go sit at the piano and I would write something. I would write something from that I was going through, and it would just feel so good to express it. And I think it just distracted me and it took my mind away and let me put that into something that I grew into a passion.
And you actually produce and engineer most of your music yourself. So, how did
Yeah.
you develop those skills? And is it maybe a choice to do it
Yeah.
yourself as well?
Yeah. So I'm always I don't know if it's because I like to have control over things,
Yeah.
or I'm just a nerd. So like I said, I like to learn things. I like to know what I'm doing. So I would say I really got into engineering and producing more so within the last year, but even starting out, I immediately was like, I want to do this myself. Like I really want to, I would get frustrated because I was like, how do I make this sound the way I want it to? I would just be sitting there and being messing around with it. So I would just teach myself and look on YouTube for hours on how to, use I started with Logic Pro, producing my own beats there, and I would just like watch videos and learn how to do it and eventually taught myself. And then I look back at those original things I started with, and obviously where I am now, I am a lot more developed because I learned some stuff in school and college and just even more experience from my friends that do engineering in Chicago. And I think it all kind of was just, I really wanted control over how everything sounded. I wasn't always happy with the way other people would produce things for me, or engineer certain ways with certain effects. I think I was just kind of like picky about it the way I wanted it to be. So I was just like, well, I'll do it myself. And
Yeah.
also, I remember every time that I was in a studio in both my hometown, Wisconsin, and Chicago, it was always guys and men that were doing producing and engineering. There like wasn't a very big female scene. There was hardly any. I was never in a studio with a female producer or a female engineer. So I was kind of just, I was like, I kind of want to do that. There's not a lot of us out there, and I wanted to be one of the female, producer and engineers.
Now, your recent album is actually called Recents, and it's been
Yeah,
gaining a lot of attention. So,
sure.
what was it that inspired the themes and lyrics behind the album?
So the whole album is called Project 22. And Recents was like one of the single we released for the project. But the whole idea behind it was my life just as a 22-year-old woman, living in Chicago, going through school, but mainly just experiencing life, dating and experiencing heartbreak and love and feeling played and feeling used and all that stuff, as I was feeling it, I do this thing where I have lyrics kind of come to me at random points in the day, and I will open a notes app on my phone and just kind of write down that feeling or whatever. If I think, oh, that'll be a good song, let me write that down, and I'll come back to it and I'll write a whole song about it. So I had a lot of those moments in the last year. So I would say almost all my songs that I made for that project were based on just moments where I had like a feeling about something and I wrote it down, and I just come back to it and really dive into more about how I was feeling. Make a beat, produce it for that song. And I would say Recents was one of my favorites on the whole project, just because I remember the moment that we made that song, and I wrote the whole thing in the studio. That one I didn't record. Somebody recorded that one for me, and that one wasn't my beat. But I remember being in the studio, and I had this like note on my phone that said, like, your name keeps going further down the Recents on my phone. And because I was like, I remember, I think I wrote it when I was at the gym. I was at the gym, and it was right after I had stopped talking to this guy that I was seeing. And I slowly, like, literally saw his name go down, on my messages. He wasn't there anymore. And like, the phone calls, like, he wasn't in my Recents anymore, in my phone calls, my FaceTime, like, his name just like disappeared from my phone. And it was a really like weird feeling, but I was like, honestly, that's so relatable though. Because
Yeah.
when you stop communicating with anybody, whether it was you or them, seeing them like leave your life, leave your phone, it's like a weird feeling. So I
Yeah.
just thought that was going to be super relatable. And yeah, I just remember being in the studio, and I found this beat, and I was like, okay. And I just wrote it super quick, and I was like, wow, and I just remember leaving the studio with that song and it just feeling so powerful because it was all like 100% what I was feeling at the time. It was a, very true story. I mean, all the songs on that project are based on experiences, but that one specifically was like a very particular situation that I felt.
Now, looking ahead, what can we expect from you in the near future? Are there any exciting projects or collaborations on the horizon?
Yeah, so right now I have been working on Project 23. So I think
Oh,
we're gonna
yes.
kind of carry over this idea of Project 22, not yours, was like my previous project, and now I kind of want to
Yeah.
do one. Now I'm 23, so I want to do
Oh,
one
yes.
as a 23-year-old, and I don't know yet what it's going to be called, but I have a notes app on my phone with about 20 songs right now that could be on it, but I try to make a song every week, and I don't know what's going to be on it yet, but definitely going to hopefully have some cool collaborations and more of my own producing and engineering on it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next.
Very exciting. Well, in the meantime, where can we find all your music that you've came out with so far, and in
Yeah,
particular this album Project 22 and the
sure.
song Recents?
Of course. So you'll be able to find it on any major streaming platform: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube. It would be under my name, Jordyn Marlys, and Project 22. So pretty much anywhere. If you Google it, it'll come up.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to have you on.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.